Hey, welcome back to our podcast, Project Brightside, where we always look on the bright side, even when things are looking pretty dark. I'm Dr. Shelby Flohr.
And I'm Richard Brito, and we're your hosts for today's episode.
Topics of discussion for our podcast include society and culture, education, and TV and film.
Each episode of Season 2 will have an interview of a guest speaker, followed by a Bright Talk segment where we discuss a complicated topic in hopes of shining light on it. So for today's episode, we'll be interviewing and having a nice Bright Talk segment with Dr. Ravi David Yarid. So he is an assistant professor of osteopathic manipulative medicine at PCOM, so PCOM. Hi, welcome to our show. How are you doing today?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
Nice, nice. Thank you for joining us this evening. So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your interests professionally.
All right, so I grew up. I have this weird name, and you're close. It's the last name is Yarid, Ravi David
Yarid.
Yarid.
Okay,
It's
okay.
all good. Everyone gets it wrong. Hey, you works even. Grew up in suburbs of D.C., Maryland. Moved to West Virginia when I was about 15. It happened to be a couple miles from this West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine, which started illuminating this whole osteopathy thing to me. After 4 years of college, I headed right back and went to school there. After graduating, I went into family practice, found my path towards osteopathic manipulative medicine, did a fellowship and practiced both for quite some time up in Michigan until COVID hit, disrupted the kids, and we moved the whole family down here to Georgia, so we never had to see the snow again, and found this gig, and now I'm a professor. I've spent
Nice.
time in family practice. I've spent time in some hospitals. I spent about 4 years inside the Michigan Department of Corrections, so I was a prison doc. That was an interesting 4 years. I did my COVID there, so I've seen some stuff, man. And coming down now to PCOM. Since AI dropped about 2+ years ago, I have spent a majority of my free time outside of family working with, on, or learning about AI.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely an emerging field, and there's just so many things that we have to like research on and see like its limitations so that we could then, correct them and whatnot. But great introduction. I really appreciate your enthusiasm and everything you shared.
I guess with all of this that's going on and all of these roles that you have, what is it that really drives you to be able to get all this stuff done?
Oh, well, I have a simple quest in my life, and that's to save the world. So I
Nice.
try to, I've been a doctor saving one person at a time. Now I try to help these growing minds, learn what they need to help save the world as well. When it comes down to it, it's just what's important. Who am I doing this for? I'm here to serve. And in that model, I've tried to live my whole life of one of service. I always worked in underserved fields or underserved areas. I worked in rural Michigan, rural South Central Michigan, followed by the corrections. And that's, I think, also, and I did that out of service. And so coming here and working as a professor, it's the strain is down. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about my job. In fact, I love my job.
Mhm.
Do I think everything could be better? Of course, because I don't think there's anything I do in a day that couldn't be better. From every commute, I'm just waiting on lights going, you know what, it'll help this. AI could help this. So there's no, these complaints are taken with a grain of salt. Getting it done, I'm doing it for my students. I'm doing it for my patients. I'm doing it for my kids. It's what do I do for me? I mean, that's really outside of here, but
Yeah,
honestly, I took this job for me. So that in and of itself is actually a pleasure. So it keeps me going that I like my job. In fact, I love my job. This is the first
that's
time I've
awesome.
loved my job.
That's
I'm home for winter
awesome.
break and I can't wait to get back.
That's awesome. I love your enthusiasm. I love your passion. It's very inspiring. A lot of people hear this and it really does reassure them, to pursue their passion and the goals that you have with like wanting to save the world. Yeah, that's very big, big goals, but I'm glad that you have those goals because with those goals, you've put yourself in this situation where you're instilling like knowledge into the next generation of physicians, you're creating other doctors. And that's so inspiring and powerful in itself because you're indirectly changing like so many patients' lives just from like introducing that knowledge that you've gathered and teaching it to others. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. So I do want to ask, what are a few of your biggest priorities for 2025?
Oh, I'm trying to bring about, honestly, my priority right now is focused around AI. I'm trying to bring about a consortium of schools in osteopathy to work together towards AI utilization and research.
Okay.
If we can start joining our knowledge and start joining our data and like de-identify it and then start utilizing it across multiple campuses, we can start doing some major research here and really change the game as far as education and healthcare. The three big buckets. Okay, so you got education, research, and I'll call it patient care. These are AI can affect all three of these buckets in incredible ways. In education, we're talking about flipping the classroom with the individualized learning plan. Everything you learn now can come from AI. I don't need to teach you the list of things you need to memorize for boards. I can let AI teach it to you in your manner, the best way you learn it, and everyone can get the same information. All some are more auditory, some are more visual, but however that individual learns, we can teach to that level through an AI system. Then they come in for discussions for small group or large group learning where we put that information together so you can understand, process, digest, and start putting bigger pieces together in these group settings. So I become more of an educational facilitator, training my students to be the provider, as opposed to be the knowledge spewer where it's the information they need to regurgitate on an upcoming board exam. This changes how we teach and is going to do so in profound ways.
That's awesome.
As far as research goes, I mean, every nuanced detail of data, we assume, oh, we're waiting for some AI to come around and help us do the next thing. Whereas you can build AI, it's fit to purpose. We could take AI and sort all the data we have on every point. You get an AI, watch you take an exam, watch your eyes, watch what you highlight, watch how long you wait, watch every question you change and give you feedback. The longer you linger, the poorer you do on your selections. The more you change the question, the more likelihood you're changing it from a correct to wrong answer. Those types of things that we know happen frequently can be done on an individual level now in ways that help students perform. We can get an entire AI. We're using a system called the Med Matrix here. We did a product evaluation and we had students use this where they uploaded our presentations and it gave you instant questions, case-based questions that everyone could just infinite based upon the learning objectives and the material in the presentation to test students on to get them proficient with that information. Not only does that help the student and gives them instant feedback, it gives professors real-time objective data on that student's progress. And any students that's at risk for failure will know before the exam. We'll be able to intervene with those who are struggling. Or as faculty, say it's neurology and everyone is not doing well on their multiple sclerosis sections of their evaluation. We as faculty could get that back saying, oh no, we need to boost our multiple sclerosis information to our students because they're all performing poorly. And this will affect how we're perceived throughout as far as the entire journey through med school, our board scores, and beyond. And as far as patient care, imagine going to your physician and you've given an AI total access to your medical records, an AI system that's held by a physician as well, and it creates an AI breakdown of your entire chart to your osteopathic provider to give them up to the minute evidence-based suggestions that
That's awesome.
normally we wouldn't have access to. But it can look through everything, every medication, every event, and every latest bit of research to really create a profoundly accurate or up to the date patient care profile that your provider can then look through and adapt to your needs. So we're
Yeah.
going to be able to hand tools to physicians, patients, students, and the scientific community.
Yeah, I love everything that you said, and I love all the different ideas and directions that you see AI being implemented into practice. But what I love most is that you're mentioning with these like targeted interventions that are tailored based on like psychoanalysis of like, you mentioned like analysis of like how we take tests and, applying those like behavioral analysis, factors to it and really having that multidisciplinary approach to teaching and taking teaching to the next level. You're really personalizing the experience for people because people learn differently. People might have their own techniques or might have their own like rhythm. And accessibility, that is something that AI could help with. It could make things more accessible and tailored to, reducing time that, you can't do everything in a day as we've mentioned. And these could what you're mentioning are ways that we could like be able to more effectively teach people by reducing some of the time that would have been dedicated to just like administrative like
Yes,
things.
that's Exactly. Like it's, I mean, again, in my save the world mentality, when I'm somewhere in front of somebody, whether it's patient, student, other faculty, what have you, how do I add value? How can I make it better? Is there something I can do? Of course, a lot of times I'm just sitting there listening, but when there's an idea or some way, or in my mind space, I'm always looking to say, how can something improve? What we have, especially with AI, is an opportunity to improve, honestly, life at every corner for everyone. No one has to lose here. The idea is it's a better process for students, a better process for faculty, and in the end, you have better providers, which is better for our patients. And it can be done all at the same time. And we have this new tool that's going to help us do it. And if more people kind of understood the potential here, I think we would see this racing forward more than we already are. I know it's happening at light speed, but the advances we're seeing on the ground, not as light speed as I hope.
So, you talked about a lot of goals, and I think you have mentioned some 5-year goals as well, but is there anything, I guess, specific that you're hoping to accomplish within the next 5 years?
Well, that's, again, we go back to the AI consortium. I'd love to get a consortium of schools together where we could
Yeah.
hub our knowledge and resources, get some AI engineers, and start really evaluating what AI agents we can start putting in our school systems to help run through our data lakes, or bring data lakes to schools that don't have them, so we can start collecting the data. The data is the gold. The AIs are going to get cheaper and cheaper. The real value isn't in the AI system; it's the data that's collected. AI also allows us to collect so much more data. I mean, it's uh, uh, a whole nother level that we don't realize, that the data that can be collected we can adapt and use, from just, again, even just listening to my voice pattern here. When do I pause? What am I thinking? What am I thinking? And then it could give me a breakdown about what topics I tend to think more or not, and there's the hesitation in your voice. These things can be captured by AI and analyzed at a level that is beyond our basic human capabilities. I mean, you or I can hold 5, 6, maybe 7 metrics in our head at once, maybe, and then compare those, where AI can hold, 10, 20, a million, depending on processing power, every instant and constantly not stop. So we have this ability now to capture and analyze data in real time in ways most of us have yet to really conceive, that's going to change literally everything we do. And in 5 years, I don't think the world's going to look anything recognizable like it is today. It's like asking about the world before,
Hmm.
internet. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm getting on 50 here. I balanced a checkbook. God, that was the worst. Like, you can't even imagine life without having just instant access to your bank accounts. I mean, when's the last time you had to go to the bank to write yourself a check so you could have a little bit of extra cash? Like, that doesn't happen. It used to all the time, or carrying around cash. I mean, who really needs it? It's a different world in which we live. And in 5 years, everything's going to have AI in it. Everything. How we want AI to be incorporated, how AI is used, is now kind of our decision as humanity. We can, sit back and allow our corporate overlords to, grant us whatever they wish. I'm not all about that. It hasn't worked out, and I don't think it ever will. I think this is where we can come in and say, no, we need to create a new kind of system in which AI can exist that is beneficial for humanity. You can create whole pillars of how AI should be used, and anything that isn't using it that way should be, I don't know, whether it be taxed more or not allowed. It's one of those things where I'm all about freedom, but as we kind of work together in the human, and in bringing humanity to kind of that next level, we decide that we only want AIs that serve humanity. We've kind of lived in this wealth extraction model for so long, we don't understand anything else. Whereas an abundant sharing model, which AI can bring, will allow for so much more. I mean, the elimination of poverty is at hand. The idea that we can bring food and water to every part of this globe is at hand, if we want to lean that way. But we have to choose to do that. And as we sit as deer in headlights, just waiting for, I don't know, our government to tell us what to do, it ain't exactly going to happen for us. So this is kind of our part, and what I want to do, and bring this out to the forefront of everyone's mind. What do you want with AI, and make it real? Demand it. We should all be demanding so much more.
Yeah, collective action. I definitely agree with what you're saying. There are a lot of AI integration studies that have been released, really heavily 2021, 2022, and even more so. And I did definitely see it exponential growth because so many other things are being calculated and analyzed and being explored that would have taken us like hundreds of years, but now it's like being like I don't know if it's a quantum um there was this supercomputer that they've like developed and integrating everything that like if it's fact checked and peer reviewed and there's this oversight to the utilization of AI, I'm totally for it, like all for it. And if we have a strong foundational system that uses the limitations that have been noted publicly, through peer-reviewed journals and all these different fields, and we could have a multidisciplinary approach where all fields are covered and integrated into, expanding the transferable skills that other fields may have. Because oftentimes, I've mentioned this a lot, where a lot of sometimes the solutions to big existing problems are found from a totally different perspective in another field. And the integration of fields, I think that is really powerful. And with AI, we could be able to program it in a way that does things for us while we're working on something else. So I see the potential and I love it. So I do want to ask you, what advice would you offer to those who wish to pursue a career like yours?
Uh, like mine's kind of a unique journey. If you're thinking about being a physician, my position has always been one of service. So I am all about being of service. Start from that space. You have to remember your why or get to know your why. Why do you want to do this? And if you're like, well, it's money, it's this and that, like, oh, there's plenty of better ways to do it. This is a place that you are going to give. Now, yes, you're rewarded for it. Yes. Do I make six figures? Yes, of course. As a physician, I do. I'm not struggling to get food on the table. But with all of my kids and all that stuff, it's not like it was back in the 1980s where I got free haircuts and cruises and had a boat. It's rough out there, and if you're in one of the lower end like family practice as far as getting as salaries go, it ain't just, oh, my life's great now that I have it. You have tons of debt, you have tons of stress, and it's a hard life. I have missed a lot of time with my kids. I knew that was going to be the case. That's also why I have a wife that was a stay at home mom. This was a way we could make this work. And you have to be willing to sacrifice. But as I tell my students too, I'm so glad I'm not a medical student. I would never do it again, but I am so glad I did it. It gave me, I would never do it again, but I'm here. I don't need to. The idea is that it gave me the opportunity to serve. And as a physician, I really get to choose how I do that. I started my own office. I did it where I wanted to. I adapted to to the prison system and got to know some inmates and ways that just found out more about life than I ever knew. Then I could just move. I moved without a job. I moved because I was working telemedicine. I pivoted to telemedicine and I could do that anywhere. Moved down here, found this job, and just pivoted right to it. It was being a physician is very freeing and gives you some adaptability. It also gives you authority. When you're a doctor, you can be considered anything, an expert in anything human. So there's an authority that comes with that. I also challenge all of my students now because the world is what it is, and I'm not exactly a fan of the direction it's going. That they need to be leaders. They need to be more than physicians, and it's unfair of me to ask, but too bad. This world cannot afford us to graduate now as physicians and not lead. Lead our communities, big and small. Lead the government, big and small. Get out there and be leaders with this mind space and this expertise and this authority. Wield it now
Yeah.
because we can and we need to. And yeah.
Yeah, and I do want to mention, I always thought, why didn't public health and medicine like integrate together into like one field? Because I feel like, there's so many, interventions that could be applied as a treatment, and it's just public health, preventative. So like they
Ooh,
really just treat prevention and treatment separately, but in reality, a lot of practitioners and physicians are integrating that, and you're mentioning that with like for instance, with AI, I see digital health technologies like you being able to remotely monitor your patients, and if anything were to occur, you would be updated, and then that would speed track like if no one called you, you would have already been alerted with an automated response, something like that. There are so many studies out there, and I love all these different points, ideas, and um, I'm just fascinated by your enthusiasm and your passion, and I applaud you. Keep going. Great job.
well, thank you. I'll give you the problem with healthcare. It's a simple problem, and everyone's aware of this. I mean, everyone should be anyway. Um, the biggest sin of our healthcare system is that it's profit based. Your
Hmm.
health is based on profit. Therefore, it does not behoove me to actually treat all of you or prevent things. It behooves me to wait for you to be sick, come to my office so I can charge you, and then only fix one little problem. Because if I fix one thing, you know I'm good and I can do it, and then you come back with your other ones. If you show up with three problems and I fix all three, then I don't see you again. If you show up with one problem, I slowly fix the other three, I get 3 or 4 visits out of that. I'm making more money and I get to make my boat payment. I'm happy, you're happy, not knowing that in a system of prevention or total care, we don't need that kind of engagement. You're right. AI is going to make your home monitoring better. Imagine the diabetic who's getting under better control. The system itself can adapt immediately to looking at all the blood sugars and saying, you don't need to come in for 3 months. We'll make it 6 months. You're effectively controlled now. And so we'll monitor with just some lab work and then have you follow up, or maybe a check-in with a telemedicine visit with somebody from a mid-level just to make sure. So we can actually, as a provider in these underserved areas, have a larger patient pool and affect more lives. AI is going to help us narrow that underserved margin considerably by allowing, as I did family medicine, a primary care doctor, and I worked in an underserved rural area. The ideas I have on how AI could facilitate growth of these practices is exponential. So we are at the cusp of getting rid of most of the underserved kind of areas in this country by embracing AI. Now, the models are going to have to change. How we
Hmm.
work has to change. The amount of work AI is going to do for us. Look at the Jetsons. The whole idea was, oh, we can't wait for robots to do most of our jobs so we don't have to do it anymore. All of a sudden, AI comes around and it's like, oh, robots could do most of our jobs. We don't have to do anymore. And everyone's panicked because your entire livelihood, our identities are wrapped up in what we do for a living. And it doesn't need to be this way. AI
Yeah.
can do this stuff. And if we go from a wealth extraction to an abundant sharing model, your worth isn't in your job. Your worth isn't in the time you spend in a different space doing something for someone else, making them money. Your value is just in your existence as it should be. And you can always make more by doing more, but there's no reason we can't live in a system and in a society where everyone can just exist and be, and you won't starve or be without a home and shelter. Like we're already in a position we can have that if we choose it. So this is where I think AI comes in, and it's like we demand that we have these things.
Love the energy. I love the call to action as well. Very, very brave. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think this is a really interesting space, and it is a space that I think makes people a little bit nervous, and so including myself at times. So as a future, primary care physician, so it's nice to hear you talk about it and the confidence that you have in it. I guess for one point of, I guess, clarification, just because I know that there's a lot of mistrust in the medical system, albeit
Sure.
probably fairly already.
Oh, great.
Just that, I think while our system financially does not make sense, I think that not every physician is, hoping to just solve one problem or to not treat you as a whole. I think at the same time, there are a lot of system barriers, including time. And I think AI could absolutely help with that. And we've been incorporating that somewhat as well. But like I just left clinic and saw people for 8 problems, and that was inefficient. And I'm a resident. So I am not getting paid the same way that you all are. And so it's easier to say that I will spend more time and see less people because it doesn't matter, right? Because I'm getting paid the same way. And so
Uh-huh.
that's not to take away from that, but I also, want to reassure listeners that I think there are some kind of functional and systemic barriers as well to having like complete care, and the way that we are financed is one of them. But I do think that overall, physicians do care about overall health and would like to practice more of that. At least I would hope, but maybe
Yeah.
that's a
No, I agree. I definitely agree
naive
with your point.
perspective.
Yeah.
In my experience, you're right. No, a vast majority of us absolutely want to. But I'm going to tell you right now, burnout everywhere. How do physicians cope with burnout? They either hit it head on, and I was burned out for years. Don't make no mistake about it. And it was overwhelming. But I, as I do, just head first and kind of drive through. But for so many physicians, they just see it as a business. Like I had my own office for a minute. Everything became a business. Everything was about money. What money goes where? How I can't stand it. It was awful. So these things, it gets sucked out of us. And as we're going, after a while, it's like, well, I could do more, but really, what's the point? And so they're happy, you're happy, you kind of keep going. You find this dysfunctional kind of compromise that you limp forward with. And I have found that that's just not for me, especially. That's unacceptable. I don't ever want to just limp forward in a manner where it's like, okay, it's fine. You're getting enough care. Oh, we'll wait till the next medication comes out or whoever makes it. Like, this is the drive to change healthcare has to affect patients and providers. We have to enjoy our job more and be rewarded in some way or another, if not directly monetarily, for preventing illness and making sure as I do family practice, that I'm supplying my community with the foundation it needs. So my patients are getting the care. If they need a specialist or a hospital, they're being directed the right ways. But this doesn't happen because you come in for your sore throat and I give you the bed and I kick you out for my next patient because I gotta make my money. It happens because I have the time to spend with you and talk to you about your family and what's going on and learning more about you. And I tell you, my most fulfilling moments as a physician has never come from refilling that blood pressure pill, but was engaging my patients and asking more about their world and having them share with me, getting vulnerable, like talking about some stuff and trauma diving and really kind of just going through some stuff with them and helping them kind of get a new foundation or a fulcrum where they shift their perspective of their self and that relationship and all those horrible things they think they were just, parts of their life that was helping making them stronger and grow into the person they've become. And with these shifts, profound healing occurs that is beyond, oh, here's your pill and now your rash should calm down kind of mentality that, treating symptoms is what we've kind of been geared towards. And again, it goes back to kind of the intention. And this is why I also say, if you want this path, it's the path of service. Have your why in place because this is what's going to drive you forward and become the doctor who cares, not the one who's just interested in profit and making boat payments.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the advice. Very, very great advice.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. And I think you're right. And honestly, a lot of the in my very short career so far, most of my meaningful experiences have been talking with patients and, supporting them through things and having that more like person-to-person encounter and less so about me giving them hydrochlorothiazide or whatever, So I think that makes sense that we're creating more space for that because right now I'm just probably taking double the time I should be. So that makes a lot of sense.
They tell you to be well rounded and do all these things for your patients and then give you zero time to do all those things.
Hmm.
By the way, you have to do all the
Yeah.
charting. Oh, by the way, you have to be perfect. And oh, by the way, it's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress to be perfect.
Yeah.
And AI can take so much of that off of us.
With the more you spend with patients, the more you get to find out. And sometimes like in certain places they could only treat a certain amount of things and they could only focus on a certain amount of problems. But when you go in, you want to tackle everything you have going on all at once. And sometimes service like there's a barriers that Dr. Shelby has mentioned, and it can't all be done, but you could refer them, you could connect them to other places. But what you guys are mentioning, I really do find inspiring and um, you have to really know your why, which is what you mentioned, and you also have to be able to pour into your own cup, make sure that you don't burn out. And if you are experiencing, close to being burned out, make sure that you're refueling yourself by, engaging in self-care, making sure you have the basic foundational skills, not foundational, like safety and, housing, food, make sure that you're having nutritious food, that you are, getting enough sleep, etc. Sometimes you guys are providers, you're taking care of others, but you also have to take care of yourself. And there's this like saying that like doctors make the worst patients.
We are.
I totally believe it because you're just so comfortable telling other people what to do that sometimes you might just forget about yourself, and then that's where the burnout might come in. But I'm glad that you both have taken great care of yourself, and you're sharing your stories, different perspectives and all. So I'm curious, what would be one book or TV show or podcast outside of ours that you think everyone should experience? So I know this is a little random, but the point of the question is, what's your like go-to hobbies that like fulfill you and give you, your personal like inspiration, to just exist and be.
So I'll give you my honest. As the book goes, I am somewhat painfully unread. I'm
Okay.
dyslexic, and all of my reading for medicine has just kind of burned my brain. I don't enjoy it like I at least once was trying to. Now that being said, A Man's Search for Meaning. But A Man's Search for Meaning is about a someone who was in the concentration camp. Yeah, by Viktor Frankl. That's right, Viktor Frankl. He really kind of goes through his journey through concentration camps as a Jew and a psychiatrist, and what he's learned and how he grew, and then how he treated, like what this did to him. And it's profound, it's brutal, but it also kind of puts together this kind of notion of the path, right? You mean some people on this path of power, the bully, the control freak, the path of pleasure, the needy, the reflective type, versus the path of meaning, which is like a purpose, of balance, and how we need to have balance in our lives. And how do I find balance? Well, I'll tell you, the most recent thing is um I've been doing taekwondo with my three youngest children, my 15, 13,
Uh,
and 11-year olds. We all go 3 to 4 days a week, and we all fight. I can honestly say I've now hit my children, and I've even choked them in self-defense moves, and we have a great time sparring and having a we have a great time. I enjoy it. I'm one. I don't like fighting. I never want to have to get in a fight if I don't have to. Oh, do I love to spar? Like this last week, my 13-year-old, he kicked me right in my chest so quick and fast. I couldn't even block it. Oh, I was so proud of him. It's so much fun engaging children. The fact that we found a time slot every evening that I can engage all three of my youngest every week for several days is borderline miraculous.
I love
That's been
that.
Also, I'm a gamer. I'm an OG gamer.
Me
I
too.
currently I don't play as much as I used to. I'm playing this one game called The Bazaar. I also like Tag Pro, tagpro.gg. Highly recommend. It's a browser-based game of just capture the flag, and it's very simple. It's very old school, but oh, it's so much fun.
I'm glad. Thank you for the
That's
recommendations. Yeah.
for our next segment, Bright Talk, where we discuss complicated topics in hopes of shining light on the matter. This week, we will be discussing the intersection with osteopathic medicine and artificial intelligence. So, with this in mind, let's go ahead and start off our questions for this part of the Bright Talk.
So, what would you say is integrative and osteopathic medicine?
Osteopathic medicine is more of a philosophy in which we take a more holistic approach to the patient. This was developed at a time where medicine was more heroic, like mercury rubs for dandruff and like bleeding, and if you killed your patient trying to save them, that's fine. So basically, AT still came around and said, no, there's got to be a better way, and so osteopathy has allowed us to kind of move forward in a more holistic and integrative approach through the concept that we use the body that is a structure unit with function and has self healing involved, and how we treat somebody should take that into consideration. We need it. Person is more than just a physical body; their mental body and an emotional body as well, and how we got to integrate all aspects of our patients in their care. Um, and so, with this in mind, I mean, this is also why I kind of just gravitated towards osteopathy, and I found the love of osteopathic manipulation. So, getting my hands on people. As I'm a professor, I teach up to OMM now. After my family practice residency, I did a fellowship, so I have that expertise to be dual certified, and I love the concept and what it is of laying on the hands, and how that really kind of creates a connection with your patient in a way that allows the evolution on top of just the medical management of getting to know your patient, getting them comfortable with you, and creating real, genuine, palpable healing within your patient. And that is how I like to consider like integration of what all that means in osteopathy.
I love
That
it.
answer.
Great answers. Yeah, that was perfect. I love how you mentioned different systems and how you have to look at the system, like the emotional system, the psychological system, like the support system, how the systems are doing. And by integrating them and making sure that you're targeting each of those, you're able to patch someone up, not just like, oh, I'm putting a band-aid and that's it. No, you're helping someone put themselves together and understand their system and move forward with that. So I do want to ask you, you're very passionate about AI and integrating it into practice. What would you say are, some of the ways that you've introduced AI already into your practice?
So not so much my practice as it is in my teaching. So There's a lot of AI right now that do like the main one is the AI scribe, which is cooler than just a regular scribe because the AI scribe will actually listen to the entire conversation and then build the note with everything spoken, and then you can just fill in like what your findings were with the heart and lungs and that kind of stuff, and make sure it looks good. So it really saves time beyond even what a regular scribe used to be able to do. Now, now the practice I have here, there is nothing. But what I've done for my students is like we did it. We got a product called the Med Matrix, and this is an AI application that creates the infinite case-based questions based upon uploaded presentations. So I set it up so they could have my entire department would just upload all the information, and they could just do effectively infinite case-based questions. Or the system also creates Anki cards. It'll even create a podcast that you listen to of it discussing topics from a lecture. You can even ask it questions. I think they're going to have a call-in feature soon enough as well, which is it's just a growing system trying to gamify the learning experience. So we gave a 6-month course with that for our students here, and that's kind of the initiation. I'm also working with another group trying to create the MedEd Cloud, which is trying to create a profile for students that they carry with them indefinitely and has access to learning capabilities in it. So what my initiation into AI, into my professional life really was using these that product for my students. Otherwise, I now use AI, I use ChatGPT and Google Gemini on almost everything that comes out of me. As far as any presentation I create or any test questions, I run it through. I want good feedback from it. I like it the way it modifies words to make it more universally recognized. Although I'm pretty good at expressing myself verbally and written, the verbiage can be improved upon, which is more understandable to a larger audience is what I'm looking for. So AI really helps me say what I want to say in a more efficient and effective manner. So when I put together a presentation on a topic or test questions for an upcoming exam, I always like ChatGPT to go over it and try to sort it, and Google Gemini to give me suggestions and feedback. I will never allow it to use a source that I don't check. I will never just copy paste. I always edit it. I am always getting involved. I believe AI can enhance what I'm doing. I'm not looking for it to replace what I'm doing. And but oh, can it enhance all over the place?
Yeah, and that's the core. Like that's the what you're saying right there, that's the beauty because you're in a way having it be like a peer review and you're peer reviewing like your oversight, you have oversight over it. Like you're not just going to blindly whatever it gives you. No, you're going to fact check your knowledge, you compare what's said and you correct anything or you could either deny it or accept it, but modify like you said, that's perfect. That's great.
It
Um
can't tell you how much it helps with emails. I mean, oh, I've had some emails go out where I'm like, oh, this one's getting on my, I'm ready to let go. And I'll put my email there, it'll tone it down for me and then tone it down again. And then I'm like, okay, good. Yeah, that I'm glad I settled down with this email saying the same stuff, just not quite as rough as I sometimes maybe like want to really point out. And you're gonna, when someone says, the absurdity and I'm being accused of the absurd, I like to just point that out. But I'm trying to, do it, make sure I'm doing it in nice, politically correct, gentle ways. And AI is so good at helping me because I can just put down raw what it is I feel and want to say and say, please translate this to something that is not offensive and is accepted to everyone on the email chain, and that isn't, and so boom, it's done. It's very professional, and look at me, I'm taking the high road and I'm still saying what I want to say. So use it all the time. That's my advice. The other thing, I'm gonna put this out here because it's a good place to put it. I recommend the paid version of ChatGPT just because I'm very familiar with it, so I know what it can do. But get a version that you do invest a little bit in. And if you want to learn about AI, just ask AI to explain itself to you. Ask AI what it does. Ask AI about it. Tell it you want to learn about AI, and it will ask you and to ask you questions to help how far you want to learn. Get in there, and it can help tell you what it can do. I mean, these are things I was doing 2 years ago with it, and it's just evolved since. But you can really start getting your own capacity of what it can do and how can it affect your life. I mean, I fed it in there that I'm a professor and I do emails, like I'm doing like all the things that I do in my day, and it will give me a list of 20 things that it could do for me today if I wanted to help me move forward and be more efficient. So Absolutely. Run stuff through it. We should be using it. We should be using it a lot. It's really helping my thinking and the evolution of the potential of our future. And everyone should get on board, especially if you're afraid of it. The
Yeah,
more you're afraid of it, it's because the less you know about it every single time.
good points. Great points for
Yeah,
sure.
those are all good points. I guess on the other hand, is there any cautionary advice that you tend to offer your students regarding AI in medicine?
So, yes, fact check everything it puts out there because it does hallucinate. It will miss a step and then create a conclusion that's erroneous or logically not factual. It can make these mistakes. So don't just assume. Whenever I ask it for sources every time, and then I go cite the sources. The other thing you can do is you can use the sources, create the conclusions, feed it into a different AI, and say, see if it comes to the same. It can reverse engineer to the question, right? So you can play with it in both ways and try to figure out if there's a mistake somewhere in there by playing it through a few different instances. Or sometimes I go to Gemini and say, do this with it, and go to ChatGPT and do it. And if it comes to the same conclusion, it's much more reliable than if it's opposite conclusions or conflicting information. And another cautionary tale is, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I grew up. I mean, there were several AI movies that came out in my youth, like War Games was the one I remember. But like Terminator. Okay, let's go to Terminator. I remember seeing the original Terminator because again, I was around in the '80s. I was a kid, but man, I was there. Skynet and Terminators will be real. Period. It's going to happen. Quantum computing, oh my gosh, things are going to get crazy. But what it does for us is up to us to decide. This is where we control that narrative. Will it hunt us down or will it clean our toilets? Will it help us in our day to day activity? Will we create a symbiotic relationship where we want it to thrive and it wants us to thrive? Or is it a control game? Is it wealth extraction? Is it a few people having all the wealth and everyone else in a worker class? Like we can choose right now how we wish AI to be incorporated into our humanity direction, or we can allow it to be done to us. And this is where I'm really like, this is where I get on my soapbox that we all have to learn about it, know about it, and demand better.
Yeah, and the reason why it's a tool. So the tools could be used for positive reasons or it could be used for negative reasons. And we don't want
Yeah.
it to be exploited. There's this newfound system that's being integrated into many different fields and it's revolutionizing the way that practitioners, go about treating patients. And, some people, there's already been this like there's a social diffusion theory where it's like you have laggers and then you have like, early adopters and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And right. We're definitely in the innovative early adopters, and we're transitioning into the early majority and the late majority, and then we'll have the laggers. But we definitely
Mm-hmm.
don't want us to be in the lagger stage. We want to definitely
No,
push,
absolutely not.
more because if we pay more attention to it, we'll be able to have a robust, foundation that's like evidence-based and has a strong foundational regulatory system that's created. Because, like, for instance, how long have we known that certain chemicals that are put in food cause, cancer or not cause, but it could lead to cancer or perpetuate, your
Straight up cause
risk?
cancer, yes.
Yeah, yes. So, and other countries have banned it, and then here it hasn't, and people that go unaware, that's how you can manipulate them. So the more we make people aware, the more we teach people to use tools to positively impact their life, the healthier the outcomes will be. So we definitely need to take hold of AI because there is a lot of cautionary, advice that's out there of like how it could be exploited. So
Well,
I
it's already being
love,
exploited.
yes,
Like,
yes.
like the idea that the hacks are there's been over a tenfold increase in hack attempts on major institutions like Amazon since AI. These AI agents are out there. We probably have loose AI self-replicating out in the world, which is not like a virus. It's like a whole organism, and it guarantee it's out there. I mean, dark web stuff that
Yeah.
it's run free, so it's getting into systems. And how like just a few years ago, people were hijacking computers to mine Bitcoin for them. Now AIs are hijacking it to build more AI. And what does this mean and what's it going to do? I don't know, but I have a feeling we're going to create kind of almost a human system where there's going to be like an immune system AI that's going to go clean up rogue AIs out there in the world. But I believe everything needs to be done in a transparent and accountable way with an equity kind of intention. So if we can all agree on these kind of factors, leaders and AIs have to fill these pillars or else we won't accept them. That's what it's going to take. But we really need to get together in a way and demand these things, because it won't be done for us. Because the people with, the advantage wants to maintain the advantage, and AI creates a void of advantage. AI will, like, again, these companies that hide poisons in our food, for example. Well, if you took all the medical data and it could tell you, and it starts knowing your diets, and it says, oh, everyone that uses this particular type of condiment has a 20% increase in some sort of kidney cancers. They're going to figure out, and then it might even sort of say, oh, it's this ingredient that's shared among these different products. So all of a sudden, all these people that have all these hidden kind of skeletons in their closet, it's going to reveal everything. And I
Yeah.
mean, it changes politics. Imagine an AI system that can evaluate the debates in real time, false argument, straw man argument. There's no sustenance, and who's arguing what, and who's more
That
factual.
would be
Real
cool.
time fact checking, right?
Yeah.
Help
Yeah.
us to understand others. It's coming, right? But these things really disrupt the current system, which is based upon, kind of, emotional triggering and repositioning of just, illogical space that we all kind of impulsively then follow because we're looking for bias confirmation. This is a game changer on all fronts, and it is scary for those that currently hold all the power, because it really shifts power.
Yeah.
So and so yeah, there's this kind of notion, but I'm a huge advocate that, like, you know what, people who have all the wealth and all the power are the least creative of us. They get
Yeah.
up there, and that's the reason why they're attaining more power and wealth, because it's not coming of them. It's not of them. It's of the world. You collect more of the world, you start attaching more to the world, as opposed to the more you want to express yourself, the more you just want to express yourself. And so I really believe the most creative of us are the ones who are gonna, like, rise up and help save the world right now.
Yeah, I love your outlook. I love your motivation. So I do want to ask you, the theme for this episode has been like call to action. So what would be some calls to action that you would want implemented specifically within AI? I know we've talked about this, but a good summary of the implementation that you would want within the next 5 years. I know you mentioned consortium, but like what about like some specific targeted interventions in your field? Like what would you like to pursue?
I mean, I would love to create the AI that is, what I've called the path. I want an AI that's a personal assistant, dietitian, personal trainer, study assistant for my students. So you should have an AI. Say for a student that walks in new to medical school, you should have an AI that has your courses already laid out for you, has the information, starts training you on the spot, starts creating what time are we waking up? How much studying are we doing? Are we taking enough breaks during our studying? Are we balanced? Have you done your stretching? What's your diet look like? All these med students come in here. They're like NASCARs, and they're feeding themselves junk. They're running on like 84 octane garbage, and they're trying to maintain this really high level of mental engagement. We need diets. We need our diet to be. Yeah, doesn't mean you can't have cheesecake every now and then. By all
Hmm.
means, I love me some cheesecake, but it's about having something that's always there. I mean, imagine going to your doctor and you've got a diagnosis of you've got chronic kidney disease, congestive heart failure, and you're getting some diabetes. What's your diet look like? Miss Shelby over there, I know you don't know. I don't know. I've been a doc over 20 years. I couldn't tell you what that diet should be. I can tell you some pieces of it, but you know what would know? The moment you got those diagnoses, your AI tool would. And so you leave with the AI telling you, well, here's what your diet can look like. And it could develop a grocery list for you that's in your flavor preferences, in your budget, at your cooking skill level, and training you to cook more from home so you're eating out less and you're getting more healthy nutrition by increasing your cooking skills while maintaining food in your maximizing your nutrition levels to minimize your disease states. Like, this could be used across all fields, and we could have it within a month if it was funded.
Yeah, and honestly, it could be really accessible and it could really help people with economically, in both ways. You know, you could,
100%. But your
yeah.
students could be using this for their school. It would help them. I could be using this. Everyone could be using this.
I would say
Hmm.
too. I think time-wise, it also helps too for people, who like a lot of us are super busy, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time and of course a lot of money to have a healthy diet. And so I think, having that simplified and done for us is definitely going to help a lot of people
You're
be
pretty
one
fine.
step ahead.
So,
Yeah.
Call to action. What I would tell anyone listening is learn more about AI. I mean, get on your AI of choice. Again, ChatGPT has been my go-to. I've been working on it for 2 years. And whichever one, but learn about it. If you are interested in AI and you're worried about where it's going, learn about it. You don't know anything about it, learn about it. You already know about it, learn more. There's no reason we can't learn more about it. We need an educated base to be the leaders of this next evolution of humanity. And this is a once in humanity moment. This isn't a once in a lifetime moment. This isn't as big as the internet. This is bigger. I think this is bigger than fire. This is the accumulation of all technology and knowledge into one tool that we all have access to. Yes, it can be very dangerous and it can be also world changing. So learn about it, see how it can help you in your life, see how it can help others, and start promoting that change. Start demanding it because we need to get I'm going to say the word angry, and anger is not a bad thing. Anger is something we in the healthcare industry and those of us who are the kind of codependent healers that put ourselves last, as we talked about before, right? We don't like to get angry much. We should though, because anger is how we have healthy boundaries. Anger seeds passion. Anger is where righteousness exists. So we need to get pissed so we can have action. The problem without anger is you have no action. So we need to get angry and act because this is being already done to us in a way which I do not test. I do not believe what we have going on is currently a great path. Now, it's still in early development, but who has all the cards, right? Who has all the people with all the money are the ones already holding all these cards and starting to write the narratives by which we live. We should not be allowing that. So get knowledgeable, understand it, ask it about itself. It will tell you how it works, what you can do with it, and think of things that no one else has ever thought of with you uniquely. You can do this. And
I
so
appreciate it. Yeah. No,
do it.
definitely. Yeah. I appreciate you telling people that, inspiring them that, they can do this. They have to just, try. And sometimes one of my favorite shows is Avatar, and you have to go through a tunnel, and at the end of the end of the tunnel, you might not see the light during, but at the end of the tunnel, you'll see it. So like you just gotta keep going and you'll get there. So yeah, I appreciate it. I really, really loved this whole session. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. If there's anything else you want to share before we wrap up, that would,
Um, I've rambled on enough. I always invite everyone to always, you can ask me anything about anything. I got opinions for days about just about everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. So that's it for episode 8 of season 2 of Project Brightside. Thanks for tuning in and supporting us. Please make sure to recommend our podcast to your friends and family. Make sure to keep sharing, and we have a lot more in the works for season 2. Until next time, take care. Thank you so much.
Episode 8 of Season 2 of Project Brightside was executive produced by Richard Brito, Luke Riosti, Shelby Flohr, Zoe Rushetsky, John Scrivenich, Jay Griosti, Sophia Paez, Andres Gil Arana. Music by Jay Griosti. Edited by Luke Riosti and Richard Brito. Research by our research associate, Margaret Lee. And a special thanks to Dr. Yarid.